Hello and welcome everybody to how you can absolutely supercharge your big idea, which I would call your soul inspired vision, by activating your soul blueprint and decoding your early influences. For those of you who don't know me, I am Rosanna Rosie Glow-Hannis. I am the founder, the creator of the STARPEACE movement. I am also a galactic healer, and I'm more well known for being a multidimensional success coach and also an early influences expert. Now, what we're going to be doing over the next few minutes, might be a bit more than a few minutes, is exploring some of the key concepts that are around what it takes to supercharge a key idea, a beautiful, big, inspired vision idea, how to actually stratospherically exaggerate its impact so that you can really hit your mark and see the very things that you want to see seeded in this world seeded. Now, I'm coming from a space that is very much a pioneering space. In fact, some of the information only just came through. So one thing I would absolutely love you to do is to let us know about your big idea. And as you're watching this, if you want to share your big idea website, or you want to share your big idea socials in the text boxes that are available, please do, because part of us joining together on this very powerful time, because we're recording this in the Lionsgate portal, we haven't yet activated the full impact of the Lionsgate portal, which is on the 8th. We're leading up to that. We're now on the 2nd of August as we record this, but the energies are super powerful, and we have this opportunity to have a much closer relationship with our soul consciousness when the Lionsgate portal is open, because we are receiving a lot more star codes. Now, I'm going to do my best to stick to script, because as I'm bringing in galactic frequencies, things are very expansive, and the galaxies and human time don't always coordinate. So I want to really just invite you for a moment to take a breath, just to come into this space and open your heart to some information that has never been shared before, not in this context. And we are receiving it now because as a humanity, we are ready for it. And this is really for all of you who are visionaries, who are luminaries, who are thought leaders, who have this idea, this sense of knowing there's something you can see that others can't see. And you really want to see this seeded in the world. Now, I've gone from working with yoga clients to then training yoga teachers to then training as a coach and working with coaches and therapists and healers and, you know, what I would call the paradise earth builders of this world. And more recently, I have made a stratospheric shift myself, which I'll introduce to you in a moment. And this really has been about me aligning fully with how I can have the most impact in this world. And STARPEACE is what that's all about. And it's a big part of this invitation and the sharing that I'm transmitting today. So we can open up to it. Let's just take a moment. I invite you to make sure you've got pen and paper handy as well, because we will make the replay available, but you'll probably get some downloads nice and easy as you're listening. So we're just having a little shake. And just very gently stretching your body, making sure that you are comfortable wherever you are, ready to receive these transmissions. Nice. And just bring your arms down, give your shoulders a little bit of a roll. And when you're ready, relax your hands down, give your head a little bit of a shake. And if you feel comfortable too, please relax your eyes, close your eyes. Receive your breath. And very consciously lengthen your out breaths. As you breathe in, take a deep, gentle in-breath. And as you breathe out, lengthen that out breath. Go as far as you can to the end of that out breath. And we are consciously just activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is a big part of all of this. So breathe in, fill yourself up, just Be aware of your current state of consciousness, and as you breathe out, let everything go other than this now moment, other than this presence, our opportunity to be together in this now moment. And open up to receiving frequencies that will allow us to have true stratospheric impact in this world by learning some key foundational secrets that have been missed in our evolutionary consciousness. But we're ready to receive them. So you can gently relax the crown of your head and imagine that a beautiful flower is opening, petals, perhaps golden, perhaps pink, whatever color comes to you that allows you to soften and feel safe. And as you receive through the crown of your head, just allow the downpour of what is stardust. It is a gift from the Galactic Federation of Love Light, which is a group of galaxies that are unified in our universe. And the message that these galaxies have for us is the STARPEACE frequency. It comes through each of us and is transmitted, translated, and transmuted as required to allow peace on earth to come through our own visioning, our own action, and our own imagination. Relax your heart. Allow your heart to expand to receive this as a gift from friends you've known long back, star family friends, soul family friends, that are so excited to meet you in the heart and remind you how to have the most impact here, why you came here, and how you can up-level every idea you have so that you are transmitting in the frequency of thriving. And this is what allows us to up-level the whole game of life. So relax your pelvic floor, let all of these peace codes move through your body. Like golden stardust, platinum stardust. Some of you may even see rainbow stardust. And let this beautiful energy move through your feet, through your pelvic floor, down into the earth beneath you, right down to the core. And then spreading around the planet. And moving through every layer of this earth, every layer of every human, every sentient being on this planet. So we can all have an upgrade. Inviting peace into our hearts. And even a little excitement. When you feel ready, just create a container with your nose. So draw a sphere in front of you. We'll call it like a crucible. Go the other way as well. And this will allow you to keep receiving the STARPEACE codes as we are here together, drawing the nose up and down to keep this connection between Source and Gaia strong. Inhaling, exhaling, and turning the head to the left, just sending these STARPEACE frequencies into your past. Inhaling to the center. And then exhale to the right. And send them into the future. Your future, our collective future. Inhale, center. And now drop your chin to your chest and just invite a smile into your heart. And I really just want to beam my love and appreciation and gratitude to you for even trusting me and this message in this moment. I'm just going to give you a little bit more information on these STARPEACE codes that you've just received, so you can kind of expand your own knowing, your own receiving, and the trusting that you have already. So as you let that beautiful heart smile, just remember that the STARPEACE codes are the most potent frequencies for uniting and unifying heart-centered leaders, pioneers, luminaries, way showers, creatives, including authors and script writers and performers, and aligning them truly with love light, with the purest frequency of love light, with co-creating peace on earth through cooperation, communication, and compassion. These are the frequencies that unite tribes, resolve differences, and co-create common ground. They are a gift from the Galactic Federation of Love Light, and I'll explain a little bit about that message in a moment and how it came to me. I invite you just to very gently deepen your breath, bring your chin back up, and slowly come back to this now moment. Well done and welcome. So I call myself a co-creatress of Paradise Earth, and this is the invitation for every creative that wants to be a part of the STARPEACE movement. Now, as I talk about soul blueprint activation and early influences decoding, I am inviting you into a sacred space, and I will talk about that more as we progress through this information. But I wanted you first to really have the information you need to satisfy the curiosity of your mind so you can truly allow your heart to receive these messages, because we're right at the crest of a whole wave of change, and it's all about creativity. It's how we use the power of our imagination and our physiology to be able to anchor the light in such a way that it is truly amplified, and we become not only the way showers but the lighthouses for all others. So I'll just share with you very briefly a little bit about the STARPEACE movement, because this is something that came about firstly as a message back on the 31st of October 2020. We were in the thick of a massive fear pandemic, and things weren't looking too good at the time. And when we have Halloween or Samhain, this is the time when the thinning of the veil between the worlds, the seen and the unseen, is most potent. I woke up that morning and received this message as I was awakening. The message was from my galactic consciousness, which is Rosy Glow. I am a channel of divine grace as Rosy Glow. The light has won, was the message. Rosy Glow, please let the universe know, let this planet know through your messaging that the light has won in our universe. And then as I was waking up and just digesting this message, I then started to get a download, which is the first invocation initiation into STARPEACE, which is the sovereignty prayer. Now, I received this message and the idea that this was my new role, if you like, to transmit this message in the world. And remember, back before this, I was just a multidimensional success coach and a yoga teacher who specialized in fertility through to pregnancy, birth, and the early years. And now I'm getting galactic messages to share with the world. Certainly my mind was having a little bit of a challenge with accepting this, and I argued with it for all of 2021. Roll on to 2022, and I decided that I was never going to feel satisfied in myself unless I fully aligned with this message and allowed myself to receive it fully. And what you're seeing here on the screen is STARPEACE consciousness, which is now the physical manifestation of STARPEACE as a movement. Star Wars is over. It is time for STARPEACE. This was part of the messaging that I was given. And, you know, the story is here, which you can check out whenever you like. But what I really wanted to invite you into is this movement is about shifting the narrative and the collective consciousness of humanity through the entertainment industry and the media in particular. And the way for us to do this is threefold. It is recognizing that we have architects, we have builders and energizers of a new earth paradigm. And it's a game, we're playing a game. So all the information is here, and I'm going to invite you to check it out in your own time. But this is now a published movement. It went from an idea into something that has now been featured in Forbes magazine, Authority magazine, Influensive, Hollywood Digest. I've also contributed, literally just got published, a chapter about star seeds and STARPEACE in a book about women leading in the new earth. So in the last 6-7 months, this has actually become a fully actualized movement that got shared as well to millions of viewers on Simonetta Lane's SLTV. And basically, I put my money where my mouth is. Okay, I decided that I was going to line up fully with this because I know the future is in working with the screenwriters, the authors, the performers of our popular entertainment, pop culture, our movies and our Netflix and all the rest of it, and taking them through the upgrade that I'm inviting all of you into. Because here's the bottom line. Whatever we put out in the world vibrates at a certain frequency. And for most of us, unless we have unplugged from our early life conditioning and recognize the messaging and plugged into the frequency of our higher self, our soul consciousness, we will be creating from our pain body, which we can call our ego programming, which we can also call the struggle paradigm. And so if we create from this place, that's the only place we can lead to, because we haven't set a new vibrational set point. The vibrational set point of thriving is the invitation of acknowledging our early influences, understanding how they affect our soul blueprint, and therefore how to work with the two so we can then apply the lessons to our own physiology, our psychology, our emotional state, and our spiritual practices. And therefore, we can now start to step into a space where we are embodying the frequency of what we want to create in our future, and we're bringing it towards us. So it is research-based, so there's a whole load of evidence behind it, the media is behind it, and there is a whole fully fledged movement. And this is now, the foundation is set, and it is time to magnify, it is time to amplify, and it's time to energize. And that's why I was called to bring this together and to invite you into doing the very same for yourself. So how do we actually do it? Well, what is important is for us to have a little bit of an understanding about what a soul blueprint is. Okay, so I'm going to literally just take you through this, and I'm going to invite you, if you like, to close your eyes and to receive the information, because this is something that is new. Okay, we've not understood it in this way before, and the information I'm getting and the frequencies that I bring through have not actually been shared on this earth before. So as I've moved through who I work with, and now working mainly with a private practice of multimillionaires who have inherited a legacy of some description, but want to actually utilize their energy, their resources to help create change in such a way that we are creating a regenerative frequency for our planet, a thrive paradigm, the Paradise Earth paradigm. And that's why I call it Paradise Earth. Some will call it New Earth. So as we move along, let's look at the first question, which is, presuming you now have a big idea that you have actually brought into this world, you've manifested into this world in some way, where do these big ideas actually come from? Well, this leads us into the question, which is all about the soul blueprint and what it actually is. So I think it's helpful to understand here that your soul is your eternal self, and your soul chooses your curriculum for each lifetime that you come to this earth. Okay, now I'm not going to go fully into the origin story, but let's just say we all start off as a unified field consciousness source, and we separate from that in order to know ourselves and then reunite with source, all that is, whilst retaining an awareness of our individual uniqueness, the divine spark in each of us. And there are souls in many galaxies, many universes, growing their consciousness, reuniting aspects of their being so that they can unify and find their way back to source. For us here, we're really looking at addressing the soul frequency of a starseed. And there is a difference here because a starseed is a high frequency being, okay? It's a highly evolved soul who has chosen to come into a lower density physical reality or energetic reality in order to help progress that reality, in order to help the evolution of that space and time, and perhaps also to course correct if it has ended up on a trajectory that would have a negative impact for others in the vicinity. So other planets, other solar systems, other galaxies, you know, everything is related, although everything is also so vast, it's difficult for us to possibly imagine. We're going to focus our attention on this frequency of the starseed and the role of the starseed in shifting the narrative on our planet and making sure that that drive we have in each of us can be evolved from the struggle frequency that might not be evident in your life presently because the money's there, right? You've got your idea out there, but it's more in the subtle back end, which is how are your thought forms? How are your stress levels? How is it that you are actually showing up? Like how much worry is going on? How much of your focus in your day-to-day life is on the problem rather than solution? How much self-care are you engaging in? How much fun are you having? What is the quality of your relationship like with your partner, with your children, with your parents? Do you have a partner? You know, what's your sleep like? How are you in all of this? Because you can put something out in the world and it can look like it's doing well, but it's not going to do anywhere near as well as it will if you are fully in yourself, thriving in your own personal paradise, as well as co-creating a collective paradise. And this is why this is so important. So these high frequency souls choose to incarnate into a lower frequency and density physical reality in order to speed up and course correct its evolution. We are here on Earth and we're here to remember that we're here. Now for us, part of the deal is the Cloak of Amnesia, all right? So the point of this is we come into this Earth, we forget why we came here, we forget the curriculum that we chose, and the only thing that really gives us a clue is what motivates us, what we're passionate about in this life, what are the challenges that we're experiencing that we need to overcome, we seek to overcome, what are the things that really bother us. You know, for me, I had no idea 20 years ago I was going to be working with the entertainment industry, but I wanted to be a singer when I was 8. I wanted to be Madonna. And, you know, I loved performing. That's what I did at A-level. You know, I was ready to go into musical theatre, but I hadn't clocked that that was just part of the story. It wasn't actually what I was meant to do. I was meant to work with those that do that. And, you know, the thing that really got me, that showed me that I was really on track, was the fact that I cannot watch television without shouting at the telly, because I get so frustrated at what I saw were distortions of truth. And this is part of my story of how easily I could just avoid it, switch it off, don't go into it, or feel that impulse to go, what could I do about this? What is my big idea that could actually change all of this? We have to dare to dream it. So a starseed will already be in a space where they are actualizing on some level their dream in this physical reality. The question is, at what octave are you doing it? And can you maximize and amplify that impact by understanding your earliest influences? Let's look at what the earliest influence is. So remember, Soul Blueprint is what you have chosen to come and share with this world. You have decided your curriculum, you've decided what you are coming here to actually do, and essentially it is to remember what you are a master of, what you have already mastered through previous lifetimes as a starseed, and to share that knowledge and wisdom in this now moment, because now is the time. Maybe in previous lifetimes it wasn't a welcome message. Maybe you got burnt at the stake, maybe you got hung, drawn and quartered. Who knows what the stories are? but there will be bloodline stories and there will be soul memory stories. The point is, this is the time when you are getting to actually see the fruits of your labor, all of those lessons that you have learned through previous lifetimes, and to actually share them with this world in such a way that you can have stratospheric impact. So these earliest influences and how they actually relate with our soul blueprint, our soul mission. We choose the circumstances of our conception, our pregnancy, our birth. We choose our bloodlines. We choose our earliest life milestones. And we do this in order to trigger as many opportunities as possible for us to remember why we came here. So, and also the specific mission that we are here to offer the world. So in the case of star seeds, this is to remember that we are already masters, and through our previous lifetimes and incarnations, it is to teach this mastery to those who are ready now. We choose our bloodlines as they have karmic issues that our own mastery can clear. And their souls in these bloodlines have chosen to receive these lessons and gifts. Whether they do anything with them in this lifetime isn't something we need to worry about, but they have chosen these gifts. I'm just going to stop sharing that screen. So the big thing is, when we go through this cloak of amnesia, we forget. We actually forget that we have set all these trigger points to remember. So what can end up happening is what seemed like a really easy and good idea when we were in non-physical becomes really complex whilst we're in this physical reality. This is because we go through the womb space, and essentially all of us, unless we've gone and lived in absolute, Timbuktu, no kind of modern influences, will have been wired to survive rather than thrive. So we have been wired to be sympathetic nervous system dominant rather than parasympathetic nervous system dominant. And many star seeds are so damaged by the earliest influences that they experience, whether it's a lack of love, rejection, challenging early life experiences, because this is how we remember, that we actually fully forget, and we become wanderers that are not present in our lives to impact. This is not going to be us, because we have already got to the point that we have put something out in the world. But there will be those that we are here to support, to remember they are star seeds through our own work. And as a result of that, they then get to remember their gifts and to have an opportunity to share them with the world. And perhaps this is a part of your big idea, how you're going to help fund others to receive what they need to activate their soul blueprint coding and their impact in this world. That's certainly a huge part of the STARPEACE movement. Part of the plan is to have a STARPEACE production fund, so that those who have part of the story of the New Earth paradigm, but not the resources or perhaps the skills to make that story mainstream, are given the opportunity to do it. And this excites me so much, right? And so it's all there. It just needs to be amplified. And this is where you are if we're having this conversation right now. So here's the key point. We get wired to survive rather than thrive. And this means that we try and fulfill our soul calling from a space of struggle. Now, it's like trying to create a new world from an old world mindset. That's what this is all about, right? And if you use your mind to create, you can only create more of the past in the future, because this programming thing, this computer, the brain, only knows how to create from past experience. What overrides that is our imagination. And that's why it's so important that we activate that imagination through having time to rest, to play, to dream, to muse, literally all the things you were told not to do when you were at school. So this is a big part of why I have brought something together I want to share with you. And I'll be going there in a second. So the result is that we find that our big idea has limited results. This is one thing. Another thing is that we don't fulfill the potential that we had intended to fulfill. So maybe we impact hundreds rather than thousands, or thousands rather than millions, or instead of millions, we could be impacting billions. And this is the idea, is how expansive is your vision right now? And what would it mean to actually be supported by others to expand it even more to what does seem stratospheric and perhaps unachievable? And then to see how everything comes together to make it possible. Because as visionaries, we're pioneers. The path hasn't been laid ahead of us yet. We have to dream it into our physical reality. We have to speak it into our physical reality. And as a result of doing that, this is when we start to see it materializing from a thought form into a plasmic form, then into visible evidence that this idea is on track, because we're co-creating our reality, and we start to meet those that are a part of this story. And what I was impulsed to invite you all into is the fact that the game of life has changed. It used to be a game of duality, like a chess game. And as we've entered into this age of Aquarius, and we've had all these new frequencies coming through, and even the fear detox of 2020 to 2022, it's like the hand of the divine has gone and moved that chessboard out of the way and tipped in front of us a whole load of puzzle pieces. And the new game of life for Paradise Earth Pioneers is for us to create the puzzle, the image of Paradise Earth. What does that mean to me? What does this mean to you? And we might have different ideas about it. Remember what I said about the STARPEACE codes? They're here to unify. They're here to help us resolve differences. They're here to help us be adjoining puzzle pieces. And what we're being called to at the moment is to recognize soul tribe, those who are already in our energy field, that are here to activate their path alongside yours, to amplify their messaging alongside yours. And as a result of that, we're creating the scaffolding for each other's biggest vision and amplification of that vision. Now, if you imagine a big puzzle, there's different edges, right? So there'll be things that are way out that don't seem relevant to us, but they're still part of the puzzle, because what is happening is we're shifting into the frequency of resolution rather than conflict, of thriving rather than surviving. And that is what this new game is about. So part of the other elements of actually not allowing ourselves to step fully into the Thrive paradigm as we co-create our reality and our bigger vision is that on some level we will self-sacrifice. We may be doing great materially and on the surface, but what we end up finding is that behind closed doors, our relationships are suffering. Certainly we can get burnt out because we're over giving and not replenishing. Our relationships can be suffering, as I mentioned earlier. And there's just that general sense of constantly striving, firefighting, sort of doing your best, having small wins, but never really seeing the shift that you want to see, that you envisaged seeing in this world. And that has to come from us up-leveling, us shifting our frequency. So the key to making a true and lasting shift from surviving to thriving is decoding these early influences, which are forming precognitive beliefs that actually we come against again and again. They color our view of the world. And as a result of that, they make it difficult for us to actually co-create what we intend and have the impact that we desire. So to actually decode the earlier influences is a process that I take people through. And it's partly engaging the mind. You may not know very much at all about your earliest life consciously. And there may be circumstances like you being an orphan, having been adopted, maybe a foster family, having lost loved ones in difficult circumstances. That means you might not know the details, not consciously, but subconsciously you have a sense. And that's what we can work with. And the power of the imagination helps us to access our cloud storage. And this is the beautiful thing about it. This is really available for everyone. So just to recap, to activate your soul blueprint requires a decoding of your earliest influences, of what you do know and what you have a hunch about and what you have remembered and experienced and been told or read or heard. And then to look at what precognitive beliefs have come about as a result of that are currently limiting your impact in this world. So just to allow us to understand a little bit more about this, we are currently, and this is part of the STARPEACE movement, is making a shift from being fueled by adrenaline, which is a finite source, like our finite resources on this planet, to being fueled by oxytocin, which is the love hormone, which basically creates the thriving conditions that I would call renewable resource, right? And that is the biggest part of inviting people to really activate their divine blueprint is to, one, learn how to be oxytocin dominant, but also to do as much clearing as possible in the shortest amount of time with the support of others, so that you can shed as much of the density that's in the way without having gone into any deep processing around it, and receive the love light codes that will allow you to amplify your soul energy in this physical reality, impact your dream and your vision, and then give you that sense of the value of then going deeper into a process of detoxing, emotional mental detox, which is the follow-on work that I take to people to. So a couple of things about making this shift from adrenaline to oxytocin, because adrenaline is the struggle paradigm, oxytocin is the thrive paradigm. One, you can't just think it and it will happen, all right? It's not a conscious mind thing, because your conscious mind is only in control 10% of the time. It's a super conscious and a subconscious conversation. You can't just decide it. You can decide it, and then things will start to show up to help you to actually make that happen. But this is not something that comes from your willpower. You can't just force it. As I said, willpower isn't going to do this. You actually have to be it. Okay. And this is the crazy thing, is that's the power of the imagination again. You become the vibrational frequency of the biggest vision you can imagine, but you become it subconsciously, consciously, and from your superconscious directive, which is your higher self, your soul consciousness. And as a result of that, you are then able to see your way in this world in such a way that is going to allow you to then have that stratospheric impact that you desire by joining in with others. And I'm just going to tell you a couple of things here, because if you understand a little bit behind my earliest beliefs that were formed from my earliest experiences, I'm not going to go into my whole birth story, but I will make another video about that, because when you know how you've pieced together your early life story, it's interesting how it shows up, right? And this is part of what I'll be doing with you. So the invitation is this, just before I go into those beliefs. We are going to be going through, for those of you who are feeling this call, a decoding of the earliest influences that will reveal the precognitive beliefs that currently limit your stratospheric impact, because you haven't activated your soul blueprint and turned these beliefs around, looked at them and looked at how you can shift your perception around them, so that instead of them becoming doors closing, they are doors opening. So the other element of this is an invitation into the practices that will allow you to hold the frequency of oxytocin as what you transmit, because we need to become oxytocin dominant to fully align with the thrive paradigm and amplify our message from there. And one element of daily practices, which are really simple, come back to yourself practices. Another element are the activations, the initiations, that are the STARPEACE activations that literally come together to support you to have access to the soul frequency codes that are most readily available at whatever stage of your own evolution and frequency you're at. We don't want to blast your circuitry. We want to only give what your mind, your body, and your heart, your physiology can actually handle. And then we make these changes incremental. But the initiations that I'm inviting you to receive will be yours for life. And that's the beauty of this, is you'll receive more of them as you are ready. Now, let's go into this. So what are we actually going to be doing? Well, I'm going to share with you now what the invitation is and take you into another screen share. Let me just quickly. All right. So this, my friends, is an invitation into the soul blueprint activation, which is for the Paradise Earth Pioneers. And I don't want you to worry about needing to read all of this, because I will send it to everybody who is registered anyway. And if you haven't registered already but would like to receive it, just drop us a message and we will. But what I was called to do was to explain what I usually offer to my one-to-one clients if they want to do this soul blueprint activation, and how I have been inspired to share this in a group setting. So my guidance system, STARPEACE and the Rosy Glow Galaxy, asked me to invite those who are ready into what I call a Crucible of Consciousness, which is a small container, a 1-month container, to allow all the necessary connections and transmissions to occur for those who are ready to start to see the value of getting connected to putting their soul in control and clearing up the resistance to actually allowing the soul element, the higher self, to lead them. And this is what we agreed to as star seeds before we came to this earth. But because the struggle programming is so deeply wired into us, what ends up happening is we just battle constantly between the head and the heart, the head and the heart. And you have to move from the head to the heart to then be able to access your soul blueprint, which is why at the start of this session, I was opening you up to receiving the codes and trusting with your heart what you're actually receiving. So the way it will work is like this. Normally, I would offer this as a VIP day, which is a 1-month energy container. And what this means is we get together initially. There's a whole load of information that I would share with my clients that actually gives their mind something to actually consider and think about and answer what they actually can do. If they haven't got the information, that's fine. We'll actually find it together in session. And then we go through a variation of what I'm going to be sharing with you now as a group setting. So the soul blueprint activation starts in September and it culminates in a 3-day retreat. So 2 nights, 3 days, at a beautiful space in West Sussex. It's actually an animal sanctuary, like of sorts. The family that run this space are absolutely amazing. It's their home that they invite us into. And ultimately, it's a space where we can just come, rest, relax, play, listen to each other's stories, listen to each other's ideas, and go through the processes of the initiations that are necessary for this soul blueprint to be fully activated. So I'll just scroll down to get to the nitty-gritty. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, I can definitely make space for that. As I said, the STARPEACE frequencies have never existed before and are unique and specific to my galactic consciousness rosy glow. Now, if you don't know about this yet, it is the frequency of divine grace, and divine grace is the power of revelation. So imagine coming together with others and spending the weekends together, having first of all had an experience of learning about your early influences, taking time with me one-to-one to decode those early influences. So we've got a sense of the beliefs that are currently limiting the impact you can have in this world. And then bringing that with you to share where you're at with your big idea in this world. And you'll see some images of the house here. But essentially, the finer details are that we would have a session from early to mid-September where I'll be working with each of you individually, and there are a maximum of 5 spaces. So this is an opportunity for a couple or for an individual to come, but there are 5 spaces, so a maximum of 10 people, plus myself and my beloved partner, or there may be just 5, maybe a combination of the 2, but essentially we do the decoding before we actually come together. And when we come together, we're going to be meeting over the equinox weekend. So that is the 23rd to the 25th of September. And we're in 2022 at the moment. And what you're going to be receiving, whilst we actually spend time having lots of fun, enjoying wonderful food, being silly, and coming back to a deep, restful, oxytocin-fueled space, is receiving a variety of initiations that are effectively the Paradise Earth Pioneer initiations that will activate your soul consciousness. Now, I won't go into the details here, but they include divine feminine, divine masculine initiations, working with the Mahatma initiation, which is all layers of your consciousness, divine architecture activations, which you can embody in your day-to-day life, and then looking at some of the key themes around divine human leadership and around co-creation that will allow us to work with the mind, but the heart leading the mind, the soul leading the mind, rather than the mind leading everything from this old perspective. And we'll be really exploring a multidimensional flow state alignment and coming into it again and again over the weekend. So by the time we leave each other, we're really embedded in these frequencies and very clear about what we each most need to be able to tune back into them. And we will be taking the time together to co-create our most expanded vision. So we're going to bring each of the those souls that have been called together and their big ideas together, and seeing how they can actually work together, so that we're bringing these ideas and moving out of these individual tribes into unification. Because there's lots of wonderful ideas out in the world at the moment. There's still a tremendous sense of competition over cooperation. And it is absolutely imperative that we share our energy and up level together. This is why the group container has come about. Once we've actually spent the physical time together, we're then going to gather online one more time as a group. And remember, this is a network there to support you well beyond the month that we actually have together. And this is where we will be sharing our expanded vision, our co-creative vision, all of our expanded visions together, like the biggest version of it we can imagine, and clearing up resistance through the co-creation process that I actually teach. When we bring ourselves together, we truly amplify this message. So it's very, very powerful when we gather. There's something that allows our impact to be exponential. And we're literally seedlings that will become blooming seedlings. So from star seeds to star blossoms, as we share our gifts with this world. And this will then lead us to another one-to-one session with me, with each of you, where there'll be a light language transmission coming through for each of you, and a very clear looking at the blind spots that most need to be addressed before we can really anchor the activations that have taken shape. Now, you may have worked with me in the past to do the deeper level clearing. You probably won't have done. So this will also be my opportunity to speak with you about next steps and what that might involve for you, and what the future looks like for us to continue as a group if we want, or to work on individual elements and then come back together at key times. Now, this will really take us through from early September, mid-September to mid-October, and then we will be done. And, you know, as I said, this is usually something that I offer one-to-one, okay? So the main thing about our physical time together is I would love you just to expect a mix of practices. So imagine a beautiful space where we have all of our activations, and then we have this lovely house to go and eat in and hang out in and rest, and a lovely hot tub and beautiful animals to go and pet if we want to, a woodland and a fire space where we can dream our dreams awake. It's really like an adult playground, a fantasy field for us to be able to step out of our day-to-day and just really enjoy being together and doing things we haven't done before to allow the perspective shifting. There'll even be some target practice for those who fancy that, and potentially some cross-dressing yogas. There's all sorts, because I really want to bring in the power of our sexual, fertile and creative energy, and how we can really work with that as well. And understanding the difference between our sort of internal masculine and internal feminine frequencies, how to get them to work together. So you will receive this invite, okay? And you will receive the finer details for you to actually go through. But the invitation at this point is really to look at where you're at and whether this is something that you would like to join me on, because it is a pioneering step. As I said, when I work with those one-to-one, and you may actually prefer the idea of the one-to-one experience, in which case I'm absolutely fine to talk with you about that and to look at how we would create a bespoke option for you. And in terms to actually talk about the investment and the sort of time frame, if you like, for all of this, your particular involvement in terms of having to do any back work is very limited. It is simply looking at the information I'm going to ask you to fill out and filling out what you can, and then taking time with me online so we can actually go through it and see what this is actually going to bring up for you. And then we can decode these early beliefs. And as I said, I'd go through mine in a second, so we can see how we can reshape them and bring them to your bigger vision. Now, when I work with someone individually on this, prices actually start from 22k, and that's UK pounds, including VAT. With couples, that's at 33k and going up. And it does really depend on where we are, what you want to do, and what else you want to add in. But for those of you who are interested in the container, this is going to be an invitation, this crucible, to come in on a level that makes it available to you in such a way that you can look at the future and what it's going to bring to you. So for the individuals joining me on this adventure, it will be an investment of £6,660 for the container, the space of a month. Or if you're coming as a couple, it's the magic number 1111, so 11,100. And that is for us to actually join together in September. Now, if you've seen the work I've done in the past, everything I do is a rare opportunity, never quite repeated in the same way. So as always, the time is now. And what I'm going to do is make sure that we place in the text box for you the invitation to have a conversation with me, because to apply for a position in this container, in this crucible of consciousness, which is the sacred space where we're going to go through this blueprint activation and early influences decoding, is by interview. It is really important that I know if you are a vibrational match for what this is going to offer you, and also to bear in mind who else will be there and what the synergies are going to look like. So I can't guarantee that you'll have a space in this particular group setting, but what I will do is let you know about future groups. And I know that what will end up happening is those who are meant to be together will come together. And it's part of my role, if you like, to be able to feed that into a space where I can bring you together in such a way that you will receive the connections that will really lift you up to the next level. So what does stratospheric really mean for you? I mean, I invite you to explore that, and just to share with you the beliefs that I said have really influenced me and actually allowed the reframing required. Is in my earliest influences, like my conception, what I know about my conception and even my birth, the key belief that I had to give up, the key belief I had was that I had to give up trying to exist before I could truly live. So there was this pattern playing out where there'd be all this trying involved, and then there'd be a surrender. And that surrender would be what would actually allow me to have the experience of life. That was number one. So this transmuted into, I had to give up trying in order to succeed. And this is the point, is that trying element is struggle paradigm. So my consciousness has had to let go of trying to make something happen, struggling to make something happen in order to succeed. Now, this doesn't mean we don't put effort into what we do, but it's about recognizing that for the most part, it is about the raising of our vibration. And when hard work is required, it is a short, sharp burst of effort with a specific goal in mind. It is not endless challenges, one after the other, that we need to overcome. We've got to keep resetting. Another key belief that came up through my earliest influences, and this is particularly around my birth, and I created a whole career around it, is that I didn't deserve life to be easy for me because I needed help to be born. And part of the reframe in this is that none of us are here to do it alone. All of us are here to work together, to cooperate, to receive the help, the support, the guidance that will allow us to actually succeed, to aim for something and hit the mark. So if your aim is millions, then it's hitting the mark of millions. If your aim is billions, it's hitting the mark of billions, and so on, right? Because if we do not know how to align fully with that we seek to achieve, then we are not fulfilling our mission. And the beautiful thing is, as we move out of our struggle paradigm programming and accept the thrive paradigm, which is our true reality, we realize we are all interconnected. We are all droplets in the ocean of love, which is source. We had to separate in order to recognize our individual nature, but now it is time to unify. And as we reunify, we amplify. That's why the group offering is so important. And it is an opportunity to step into being seen in a fuller way. This is about you sharing your vulnerabilities, sharing your frustrations as a leader, as a visionary, as someone who really looks like they've got it all going on, but being able to say, you know what, I've done such an amazing job. But actually, I really want to have a better experience of this for myself as well. And that is really when we step into the oxytocin. So I'm really excited about hearing what you make of all of this. And I'm just going to invite you, please, to remember that the key thing is book the call and we'll send you the PDF, and just don't delay, because the timing is very present in the now. There are 5 spaces, and it is important that we do the pre-work well ahead of us actually gathering together. So if you are feeling this, and you're like, I really would like to find my way into this and actually bring it to me, then just book that call and we'll have the conversation. Now, if you love the idea, but it just seems like it's way out of your current reality presently, we've got another call link for you, which will allow you to have a very touch point STARPEACE activation conversation with me, so I can let you know what else we have on offer to help you get to this point if this isn't where you are right now, if your idea hasn't been birthed, if perhaps you haven't fully gone into the space of actualizing your bigger dream and you need support in getting there and actually remembering what it's all about, then we're very happy to lead you into letting you know what else we actually have. I'm so grateful to you for actually taking this time with me, and I really look forward to hearing from you. And I'm just going to take a little moment to stop sharing the screen. In the moment, I will open up to any questions that may be coming. But let's actually put these quantum activation, reconnecting people to the quantum field. That is you. Loving that. I'm just going to bring in now these links. So this link here is for those of you who are seriously interested in partaking in the soul blueprint activation that I call the Crucible of Consciousness. Just get it here. There we go. And then for those of you who might just need a little bit more direction, I'll just put that here. Not quite birthed your dream. Here is the call link. But Rosie does know how to use her computer properly. There you go. All right, so both those call links are there. As I said, we will actually share with everybody the PDF with all the details on it. You're very welcome. So I'm just gonna say goodbye for now and just remind you that there is everything that you want is within your field. It's right here, right now. If you've come into this messaging, if you've come into this space, if you've heard this, then there's something going on a soul level that you're being invited into. And all you need to do is say yes, make that booking, and then let's have a conversation and take it to the next level if that's where it's at. So much love to you. Make the most of Lionsgate and enjoy this presentation. You might want to listen back to it again. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Take care for now.